2003 Pontiac Grand Am SE with the V6. Gonna be swapping the engine oil pan. This particular person hit a rock, cracked it, and I've never done this before, but shouldn't be too terribly difficult. So I'm gonna try and give you a video walkthrough. Here we are underneath the car. You can see where the oil pan is cracked. The first thing you're going to want to do underneath the car is you have to remove this tray, which goes right here, just a splash shield, and it's held in place by these wing bolts. I just use a pair of channel locks to remove them. Pretty simple. That was my first step underneath the car, because you're gonna have to remove the starter right there, as well as the AC compressor, which is right there. Things you're gonna have to remove on top of the engine, because there's not gonna be enough room between the oil pan and the frame rail down there to get the oil pan out, is this box. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but there's just a metal clip here that'll be undone, and you can slide this box out. Then you're gonna have to undo the motor mount, remove the serpentine belt, which is pretty easy. There's just a tensioner down here, and on the bottom there's a place to put a 3/8 ratchet in, and then you can undo the tensioner and remove the belt. There are directions here on how to route the belt when you're done, and go to reinstall it. So if you don't remember how to put it back on, refer to the diagram, and it'll help you. To lift the engine up, to try and get the space needed to remove the oil pan, I went to Harbor Freight and picked up one of these engine support bars. It was like 65 bucks with their 25% off coupon. I'm hoping this will do the job. It should. It just rests between each fender well, and then it's got threaded rod with a hook on it, some chain, and I'll attach it probably right there, and be able to lift it up, and that should give me enough clearance to remove the oil pan, hopefully. Alright, after removing the splash shield in the front, next thing I want to do is remove this starter. And in order to remove the starter, I believe I have to take off this little bracket right here where this says there's that bolt, and I believe there's probably one back in there. It's going to be hard to see, but back in there there'll be another bolt, and then there you can see the one bolt mounting the starter to the engine block or the oil pan. There should be one on the back side too. So remove those two, and then the starter should come out. After the starter comes out, I want to try and unbolt the AC compressor from it, and I might have to remove the serpentine belt first. Probably will have to do that, but that also has to come out, and then there's going to be a series of bolts that hold the oil pan in. It doesn't seem like this is too terribly difficult, just so it's going to be involved in remember where all the bolts are, where they go, and things like that. But I'm gonna try and remove the starter now. So, alright, so I got that little guard off. They're 10mm bolts right here, and then there's one, get my hand back up in there, right there. Just 2 10mm, kind of a pain, but not too bad. So now that bolt, and I can't see it. I think it's right back up in here, right there. It looked like 12 or 13mm. Should be just those two, and the starter should come right off. Alright, as you can see, the starter's removed. There's the 2 bolt holes, and I just kind of have it propped up in here on the frame, the cross support, cross member, whatever. So it's propped up in there. You can remove the wires if you want to. I'm gonna try and get away with not doing it for this job. It doesn't appear to be any stress on the wires, so it should be okay. So next is going to be removing either the AC compressor or going up top and getting the belt undone. Probably have to do the belt first and then come down here and do this. So that's gonna be my next step, is up top and remove the belt. All right, I have the belt undone, Serpentine belt undone. Down there you can see that there is enough room to get a ratchet onto the tensioner, spot for it. Not a whole lot of room to get leverage in there, so I used a cheater bar, just like this, and got enough leverage to undo it. So now it's free. I'm not sure if I can get it out of here without taking the motor mount off. I'm not sure. Possibly. I'll have to figure that out when it comes. But this is why it's good to inspect and change your belts if it can focus here. Yeah, there you go. See all those cracks? I'm not sure how many miles around this car, I don't remember, but yeah, this belt's due for to be changed, so we're gonna change that as well. Probably not too expensive, but yeah, an important thing to do, check your belts. So on to the next step will be to remove the AC compressor down there. All right, the next order of business is to remove the AC compressor. Just a couple bolts, looks like, maybe up there, and down there. Gonna remove it. I already got the belt removed. I'm not gonna take off any of the hard lines or anything like that. I guess those are the hard lines up top. So just a couple mounting bolts that mount right to the engine. So undo that, and then it should be good and freed. And then after that, I'm gonna lift up the engine, unbolt the motor mount, or unbolt the motor mount first, then lift up the engine. I'll just get it braced up with that engine support bar that I have. All right, I got the AC compressor removed from the engine. Just 3 bolts up on top there, 2 on top, 1 on the bottom, and it's just resting there. There's no tension on the hard lines and no stress on the wires, so that's fine. On top of that, you need to remove a bracket, or part of a bracket back here, just the one bolt that attaches to the oil pan. And now it's going to be unbolt the oil pan and see how she comes out. Alright, I got the engine support bar in place, not lifting up on anything. You can see the hook right here that I'm going to be lifting up on, and I'm just going to crank on the handle to lift it as much as I need to free the oil pan from underneath the frame. And it should be good. Like I said, no tension on it right now, so I'm gonna undo the motor mount here, then lift it up slightly and undo the oil pan. Alright, I've got all the bolts out of the oil pan except for 2. One here and one back there. And it should be ready to drop out the oil pan. And then we'll have to lift the engine, hopefully, or probably, to get it in between here and the frame. Well, we'll see how it goes. It almost looks like there's enough room to clear, but just in case, we have everything ready to go. So we have all the bolts out. You can see it's loose here, but because of this frame rail, there is not enough room to get it out. No matter how you try and position it and wiggle it, it just will not come out. So this is where you have to lift up on the engine after unbolting the motor mount to lift it out. Should give us enough clearance. Here we go. Here you can see we have the motor mount undone. I got the Serpentine belt free now. We're gonna be cranking up on this to lift the engine up just enough to get the oil pan out from underneath the car. We've got the oil pan out. As you can see, we had to raise up the engine quite a bit. You can see how far off they are now from where they were. Taking it out was a pain. twisting it at the right angle, freeing it from that little bracket. You can't get a bolt out because it's stuck on the axle. And the AC compressor kind of gets in the way, but when you lift it up that much, it does give you enough room to wiggle it out. Putting it back in might be a little chore, but should be able to do it just fine. Alright, so my next step in this process is to clean up the area where the gasket is going to go. So this outer rim, all around there, where all the bolt holes are, is I'm going to clean it with brake parts cleaner, maybe a scraper if I can get it up in there to get all the crud around, and it should be good. And then also apply some gasket RTV in like these corners. You can see there's a little bit of gasket left over right there, so clean that out, and then it'll be on both sides. Apply some RTV in those areas, and probably around over there too. There might be some, and right there where it's there's like a seam. So we're gonna clean all that up, prep the surface for the new gasket and oil pan. Alright, so here we are. I have the new oil pan up in place. Bolts are just finger tight right now. I'm giving the RTV in a couple spots some time to set up, and getting ready to tighten them down about another quarter to half a turn. The oil pan is completely bolted in place. All the 10 millimeters are in, and the 13 millimeters that are on the side, there's 3 on each side, are all in place. Don't forget to swap out the sensor here. But yeah, now it's time to reassemble. So it's going to basically be in reverse order of putting the AC compressor back on, then the starter, then the belt, then put the motor mount and everything back on. It should be done. So that's what I'm going to work on next, is putting the AC compressor back on. Alright, so AC compressor's back in, starter's back in. I routed the new Serpentine belt. Nice and easy. Your 3/8 ratchet goes right in there. Brand new belt. Now it's time to reassemble the motor mount, if I'm not mistaken. Everything else underneath is all done. Almost done with this project. Everything is back and installed. Motor mount, this clipped. Everything looks factory. Job well done, hopefully. So when I fill it with oil, I'm going to check for leaks. But I could say this job is officially finished. Thanks for watching. Hoping this video was informative for anyone watching on how to change the oil pan on a, this is a 2003 Pontiac Grand Am SE with the 3400 engine. Thanks for watching.